Hi everyone, it's Andrea and we are here in my home studio and I wanted to record this video so that I can document the changes that I am making to my creative space. You may recall in January I launched a new community called Studio 365. And as part of that experience, we are taking monthly challenges. And at the end of the year, we will have completely revamped our creative spaces. So the premise of this challenge is to really utilize the furniture and the materials and the decor that we already have. Unless you're brand new to sewing, you probably have spent many years amassing treasures, and we love them all. But what I have observed and experienced firsthand is that we have an abundance, more than we can probably use in our lifetimes. So I thought now was as good a time as any to reclaim our creative spaces, because I am a firm believer that you need white space or room to be creative. And I think over the last couple years, with so much of our time being spent at home, that we have kind of compacted ourselves into these cozy little spaces, and we might have acquired too much stuff. All right, so month one, January challenge in Studio 365 was to take inventory of our creative spaces. And so this could have been done at a macro or a micro level, depending upon how nuanced and tech savvy the person is. I invite you to do the same. Take an inventory of your space. You might create a spreadsheet and you might know down to the swivel clasp exactly what you have, or you might be more like me and you just need to know that you have it, and you could do a broader inventory, say by box or by drawer. Or even a great idea when you're trying to assess how much fabric you have is to weigh it. I have X pounds of quote weight cotton, right? So the number one purpose of this activity is just for you to realize that you actually do have a lot of resources, and that will help us when it comes time to create that space that we really need to be creative. And hand in hand with that space is the feeling that we have enough. All right. So I have completed my January challenge in the sense that I feel I have way more than enough. My situation might be unique because I combined two creative spaces for many, many years. I had studio space outside of my house and studio space inside my house. So I basically had double of everything. And when I consolidated that all back into one space, I didn't take the time that I needed then to purge, and I have since not been 100% satisfied with my creative space. So I'm really excited to let this process slowly unfold over the year, and I too will be going step by step. I have outlined a curriculum, if you will, for us, or a broad guidance of how we're going to pursue this studio reorganization. And so my January challenge is complete. I absolutely know I have way more than I can ever use. And so in that respect, what I did to kind of quantify my process, because I know this space is going to be changing throughout the year. So I needed desperately to have more space. So the first thing that I did was say goodbye to 2 of my 16 cube IKEA bookcases. These bookcases I bought brand new in 2008. I've painted them multiple times. I have assembled and disassembled them multiple times. I have moved them upstairs, downstairs, across town to different cities. I have used the heck out of these bookcases, and I thank them with love for serving me all these years. But in this space, having both of those bookcases, really, it was just taking up so much space, and I was not able to ever find a way to make them look pretty because each little cube was holding a variety of contents. So that's the first thing I did, was say goodbye to those beloved calyx, I think they call them, bookcases. And when I took them apart for this last time, they were like, the little plugs were snapping, and it was just clear to me that there is not going to be any reusing them in that form. That being said, I am still holding space to turn them, each little shelf, into its own individual shelf in my garage, which desperately needs some help as well. So I'm going to hang on to them for a little bit. If I don't get around to using them in the garage, then sadly they will make their way to the landfill, but not quite yet. But nonetheless, they're not going to be in this space anymore. I did keep 2 smaller IKEA calyx cases, which I'm going to show you, are actually holding my books. They work wonderful for books, not so great for a variety of things. Like, they're great for organizing one common thing. Like, if you wanted to put all your fabric in bins in a calyx bookcase, that will work. I don't have that much fabric to organize it in one like that, but they do work great for my books. They also, the second one I'm using to hold smaller boxes that are all similar, that have little things inside of them. And so I'm going to show you how I am still using those. But before I do that, I want to tell you, because I know a lot of you will be very, very tempted, because I was right on the edge of doing this. If you're going to take on a major revamp and you have the resources, you may be very tempted to order new furniture, or order new containers, or order something new for that space. Like, you're still looking outside of your space for the solution. Studio 365 is here to demonstrate to you, over 2023, you have everything you need, and it's already inside of your space, okay? So if that intrigues you, please follow the link down in the notes and check out Studio 365 for yourself. We would love to have you. It's a beautiful community of like-minded makers over there, and we spend a lot of time creating together and inspiring each other outside of organizing our spaces. We're going to be exploring a wide variety of creative genres this year: paper crafting, sublimation, printing, embroidery, photography, just to name a few. I'm going to spend a lot of time playing with my Cricut and heat transfer vinyl and things like that, plus tons of sewing. This coming month in February, we're going to be sewing the Alice handbag. It's a gorgeous quilted bag together. We're going to do that over 2 weeks. So if that's a pattern that you already own, now might be a really great time for you to join us at Studio 365 and make that beautiful bag with friends. Okay, so back to the creative space. I just, again, want to document my progress so far. So the way that I conducted my inventory was by purchasing bankers boxes because I knew I had to get some space. Took apart those bookcases, purchased some bankers boxes, which I'm going to show you here. I filled those up with the contents that were on those Calyx bookcases. So there was a mix of like supplies, creative projects like latch hook rugs, embroidery floss, things like that. So other creative materials outside of sewing, as well as a lot of decor and inspiration that I had collected between the two studios. So I didn't put anything in the box that I didn't think lacked value. If it was truly done, I went ahead and parted with it. I had 3 garbage bags that I was able to throw out and discard. But then there were things that, for whatever reason, I had an emotional attachment to them, or they inspired me, or they're pretty, or whatever. And so they are in the bankers boxes, and I temporarily commandeered our powder room, which is right outside of this room, as a little storage unit while I do this. Okay, so I bought 30 bankers boxes at the Walmart, and I filled up 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17 of them. Yeah, with like stuff. And I took out those 2 bookcases. So what I realized, because I had picked out all brand new furniture for this room, white, which I thought would look amazing with the navy, and I had it all loaded in my cart, and it was a different type of furniture that I thought would suit my needs well. A lot of workspace, and then a very large storage unit. However, once I cleared the space in here, I realized the stuff that I have does function at a very high level, and I actually do like the color and the kind of eclectiveness of it. So I'm not completely ruling out the idea that I might go ahead and invest in new furnishings, because again, I've used the heck out of what I have right now, but it does function at a high level. So I'm hitting pause on a furniture purchase. I am still very much considering using my vertical space. I have huge walls, which you may notice I came in with touch-up paint there. That's the difference that you see in the walls. That was a mistake on my part. You can't just touch up walls like that. And so I have these little kind of, it looks like it's gloss paint touch-up, but it's not. It's matte. But I think what the deal is, this room gets a lot of sunlight, so I think the paint had faded, and then when I touched it up, and so I took everything off of the walls, which the walls were just primarily art, mostly art that Megan had painted for me, which I do love very much, and I want back. A lot of color, inspirational signs and things like that, but it was super cluttered. So I had to get that down, and that's all temporarily stored in the powder room for a moment, so I can have the space. I need the space, all right, to think about this. So what I am going to do before I order new furniture is install shelves on this big back wall, and I'll show you what I'm looking at for those. And the way I'm going to put the shelves up, it's going to leave me a nice space in the middle there that I can showcase Meg's art. And then my sewing desk is on the other side here, so I'll be able to look at that. The shelves are also going to allow me to unpack the baker's boxes, at least in part, and display some of those pieces of inspiration that I love. So that's what I was able to accomplish in one day. I used all day yesterday, broke down the bookcases, Put those downstairs, out of the way, packed up the banker's boxes. The reason I like the banker's boxes is they hold a lot, but they're not so big that you can't carry them by yourselves. They're very sturdy. You can stack 300 pounds on them, so chances are pretty good that you're not going to exceed their stress point. They stack really nice, so I also like that they're white and you can write on them and label them. I have not labeled mine yet because I'm going to do one more pass through on those before I decide if something's going into storage or if I should try to sell it, give it away, or just say goodbye to it. So again, this is a process. It's a slow process. It's a methodical process, but it is worth the journey if you are not satisfied with your creative space, okay? So 2 major things have happened and I'm already back in love with my creative space. So I'm going to take you around the room and kind of just show you where things are now. And then each month I'll come back in towards the end of the month and give you a little studio update. And over the year, you can watch my process unfold and you can watch the studio change. Next step for me, which is going to happen this weekend, I'm going to paint this whole room again. I'm going to use the same naval blue by Sherwin-Williams. I love this navy blue for a couple reasons. It's an awesome backdrop. Blue is my favorite color. And I take a lot of product photos. This is awesome for product photos. So I'm sticking with this color. The other reason I'm keeping this color, I'm a terrible painter. The worst. I don't have any patience for it, so I don't want to have to cut or tape or any of that. I just want that glossy spot on the back of my walls to go away so that it doesn't look like I used 2 different kinds of paint. So I'm gonna dust the walls, wash the baseboards, and then just roll it and it should look amazing. Crossing my fingers because I don't have the patience for more than that. So that's next steps. Then I am pretty sure I'm gonna go ahead and order the shelves so that I can keep my beautiful treasures organized and showcase Megan's art better in this space. That's still a huge savings in comparison to the furniture that I was about to buy, and thank goodness I didn't, because I don't think it would have worked very well in here. So we'll see at the end of the year where I stand with the furniture. But right now I'm going to go ahead and show you around the space and talk to you a little bit about the function of the room, because function is our focus for February. I'm a big believer that you need zones in your creative space. Like, here's where I do this, here's where I do this, and they should all play nice together. That's a process that you'll refine by rearranging, testing it, rearranging. And that is a process that we'll revisit throughout the year and make sure everything's functioning optimal, okay? So let me give you a little look at what we are working with here. All right, so here over on the other side of the room are the 2 bookcases. So I have one flush against the wall and all of my books are on that. Then I have one that's holding up my big, huge countertop there, or tabletop, which I love that table. And I have it so it's just centered right on the middle. The tabletop is really heavy, so it is secure there. And we'll take a better look at that space so you can see how I use this table. So I have my embroidery machine here, my embroidery station. Temporarily the iron is there, it's not staying there. It's just I have the ironing board folded up right now. And then all of these little carts, and this is why I say, don't go buy another cart. Look, this is my solution. I have all these different carts and drawers. They don't serve me at a high level, okay? I didn't look at the whole package. I was just trying to work with one problem, and then over the years I end up with this hodgepodge. So I will probably end up keeping the rainbow carts because they make me happy. And I am going to be parting with some of these other carts. So that's what's happening here. Then on this side, you know, I am a full-time student, so I need a comfy spot to do homework and edit content. So I have a nice comfy chair there, my bigger computer, and then for now I have the sublimation equipment, the regular printer, the mug press, and then all of my books here. These are library books. A few months ago, I did away with the curtains and I installed these blinds. I'm really happy with that decision because it allows me a little better light control. So temporarily under my workspace, I have my batting and interfacing remnants and 2 bags of fabric remnants. I need to get quilting. I have so many remnants. So this desk here, I also really love because it's got tons of storage on the side that I have not ever really maximized. And these are flowers that Megan gave me for my birthday, which is tomorrow. She bought those and arranged them for me and gave them to me today as a nice little surprise. So I have another work surface back here that I use sometimes to Zoom from, sometimes to reply to comments and things. And my laptop fits perfectly there. And I like that look for my backdrops in my video. And after I get this wall painted, it will probably remain a lot like what you see now. I have some fabric stored behind those little colorful cubes in there. And then I have a little paper crafting cart and some zipper supplies over there. My awesome sticker chair. Then I always get a lot of comments about these bins here. So this rack I found at Home Goods, and you can still on occasion find these at Home Goods. And then these little racks here have wire frames, but these were in the dollar section at Target, and they're absolutely perfect for holding patterns. This year in Studio 365, I am going to spend the year working with other makers' patterns. I think it's a great way to learn new techniques, and ultimately it will make me a better pattern writer and designer. So everybody has to purchase their own pattern, of course, and then we sew it together following the instructions. So I have some of my favorites here that we will be working with. So that's another fun reason to join us in Studio 365. And I'll just give you a little look around here. Got my new Janome over there, which I want to get out and quilt a little bit on that soon. And then this is my makeshift design wall for the friendship circle, which one of my blocks is coming separated there. This is just quilt batting up here. And I do have little pretty decorative stick pins holding the blocks up, but they would stick to the batting. So I just use thumbtacks to attach that to the wall. And this particular wall over here is actually a recent add to the house. This used to be open. This was kind of like a living room area, living room / dining room combo. So Megan's boyfriend built me a wall during the pandemic and put on a door, but I've never properly finished this wall. So I'm going to sand it and paint it nice. And then if I do decide to keep the design wall, I'm going to frame that in and have it a little bit smaller. It won't be thumbtacked up, but for now, I really enjoy looking at the quote blocks that we're making in the Friendship Circle. If this is the first you're hearing of the Friendship Circle, it is free. You're welcome to join us. All of these blocks have been archived. We meet once a month on the second Wednesday of the month at noon Eastern Time and explore a new quote block. At the end of our time together, we'll each have a nice little lap quilt that will be a Sewspire sampler quilt. We will probably continue this for at least a second year and explore some more advanced blocks. So it's never too late to join us there. The link to the Friendship Circle is down in the notes. And then I also have my heat press on this table here. This is a big heavy-duty cart, which I had in my commercial studio. It's got wheels on it. It folds up, but even though it's industrial-like, it is really useful and perfect for my press and my tools and my heat press. And then right now I haven't got around to organizing all of this, but this could use some banker's boxes. I don't want to put the fabric in banker's boxes though, if I can help it, because I'm not sure like if it's acid free or whatever. I wouldn't want it to damage the fabric. But anyways, I have fabric in all of these odd shaped bins. This is why I caution you again against just buying the random bin. It'd be much better to be patient, assess your actual needs, and then buy the right bin for the job. So temporarily, this is what my good fabric looks like. When the time does come for me to organize this and fold it, I will have a blast because I always find material that I didn't know I have. But anyway, so you can see I have a ton of potential here to make that prettier and more organized. And then I have a small collection of batting and interfacing that is tucked in there as well. This cart here belonged to my daughter Isabel, and she was tired of it, so I have put it to use. But ultimately, I will probably convert that to embroidery thread in the drawers and then the embroidery machine on top. These little telescopic poles that you see there in the way and all those cords are for my photography lights, which there is no ceiling light in this room. There's a ceiling fan on that side of the room, which does not give very good light. So these beauties give me the best light for when I'm in here at night. They're not super attractive, of course, but they are way functional and the optimal light as opposed to that, which casts a lot of shadows. And I usually don't use it unless it is rainy and cloudy, which it is here today. So for the most part, this space has tons of natural light, and I don't really have to worry about the light unless it is a cloudy, rainy day like we have here today. So I probably will not do much in regards to the lighting. I am considering perhaps changing the fan blades to like white and maybe updating the sconces on those. But again, we'll see if I do decide to do a different light fixture or not. I really love the photography lights for working. They are so bright. The light is pleasant for my eyes. You know, for the detail work. So you know what they say, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. So lighting right now is low on my priority list because I have this awesome natural light. So all in all, I am super pleased with the progress that I have made for our January challenge, which was the inventory challenge. I hope this video was helpful to you and you found some inspiration or at least learned from my experience what to or not to do, perhaps like touching up the paint on your walls. or buying a bazillion bins that are all different, right? So I know you've been there, done that, but this is the year when you can, in the company of friends, redesign, reclaim, remake your creative space. I hope you will join us over at Studio 365. And until we meet again, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.